Omo gasomi ya bwigetase osomo gasomi yomurigereria bwigetase ni Ndizi TV na inde nenga kingiango kwarigania semesa ya Amayia Chinsa Isano na Ibere nkomanyinga nararia yagendete gukoreka sense ya Kenya inyoro litskolia rero lia Jumapili chitariki 23 omutenyi no yokane umwaka bwechiri bwibere na 23 Omurai bwense Dr. William Ruto, mo Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, Mugavana we County ya Nairobi, Johnson Sakaja, niko bagendrete gusasima ase kanisa ya Friends Church, eyo gotoka sensema ya Downhome, omochio Nairobi, ntochiko kumanyia mange ngana kio murai bwense agocha gukwana na bananchi, igoro yokugania kwa azimio la umoja wa Kenya, kero batagete bono esava enyare koba kuigurwa mwanchu mulire yo manaenda mange boigo ninkomanyie asenchira yo wenge bunana kyomokonyi bumurai bwense Rigathi Gachagua nerale setaro yae ase ense ya Botswana asabali moto bwate wetera senchira mitandao Ndizi TV News Digital oyana nsemo ya Facebook na boigo Ndizi TV News nsemo ya YouTube and then abogo tweet at Ndizi TV News kwirana ndebona segekeke kerebosyo egere nkomanyia yo manaenda mange asenchira yo wenge. Ncheni gonkoro kwa sara Nyarangi Ontita kabamo na inche gwika omwelio omo konyi bumurai bwense Rigathi Gachagua niga umiranire litskolia rero na bakenya au bamenyete asense ya Botswana asale taro yaye chingake cha umirana na bakenya bo ekeralinge no murgyo ya Dorcas Rigathi niga nyariko baga kwenekelia bakenya mubuna obonchorelia sense mo ye chindege gosebiti bye chindege osane ne company ya KQ nigegendete gwetere mechando emenene kubwatikana ne bitoki bigendrete gokiana ase sekte yo asa kwanira mange ngana kia serikali arengerete gochamo nabo bwatani au bunenjere monaende yokobokia sekte yo ya KQ
of KQ to this country and elsewhere. It is true that is what should happen. But I must be very honest with you to tell you that we have challenges with KQ. Very serious challenges, financial. KQ is hardly able to meet its operating expenses. And there are serious discussions on possible reforms to get KQ back on track. I must tell you, the problem of KQ is what we have said. KQ is on its deathbed because of what you call state capture. KQ was captured by those in power and loaded a lot of contracts that are untenable. They forced them to lease aircrafts at costs that are not possible to meet with the income. So it's a major, it's a serious thing on how to unlock the whole thing. And those contracts were also done in a way that getting out of them is quite problematic. I think the state capture fellows were very clever. They did it in a way that even if there's a change of government, to get out of those contracts, the penalties are extremely heavy. But I can assure you that the government is well sized of the matter and the need to get KQ back on track as the pride of Africa and as our national pride. And the way Balozi has said is true. For every 10 passengers, there is a job created. So I can tell you that the government is well sized of the matter and a lot is going on behind the scenes. And shortly, KQ will be back on track.
Nigo boigo Rigathi ayeneke iria bakenya bubara sense ya Botswana asate biro bacholi bumwaka bwechiri Ibere na 25 na Ibere nenyarekane abakenya bonsi barase Chinsa chisiko bachigwancherwa gwaka ekura na boigo kubwateranirwa asogochora eserikali gusabarai sense ya Kenya nonye bare Chinsa chisiko nigo boigo atabire mbabwateri bagali abena sokubwateranirwa asobokoreri bwense ya Kenya asate bire nonye nabo asebono Kenya tebwati aba commissioner ababwenerete amo no munyakirogo ubweke kyo bocholi ni chimbebe IEBC korende mbachikobeka yo asomorobelyo buna ba Kenya be Chinsa chisiko na barabo banchiruye gokoro bocholi asenze ya Kenya.
Issue of voting rights is true, it's a constitutional requirement. We need you people in the diaspora to be part of the decision-making process to determine the leadership of Kenya. More so because you have loved ones back at home, you have people that are important to you and they need to be governed well. And since you have more exposure, you should participate in deciding the leadership of the country. Of course, as it were, the matter is handled by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, which is an independent commission. But the problem has not been that they are not willing. It has been the budgetary allocation. So that is something as a government we need to do. Ask them to map the whole world, and as a government allocate sufficient funds to enable them register voters across the world and create polling stations within the country so that people can exercise their voting right and they can participate in the democratic process of deciding who leads Kenya and how Kenyans are governed. So that is something we'll be pursuing. Of course, you know, as we speak today, we don't have commissioners for the IBC. The process had begun in earnest, but you know there are few dynamics after the demonstrations and the wearing of sufurias on the head. And I'm sure in the due course, commissioners will be in place, and then as a government we can engage them about the diaspora vote.
Chingaki echio morugio ye Dorcas Rigadi nere na orokyo mngokoye uchesaba Kenya buo bara sense ya Botswana asaba kirangambia mona soko bwaterana no nyabali asatambe nigobo igo atebira masabo na aro kirigento ende na aro abaete serikali eyebone kugamba sense ya Kenya nigatebire are no mogoko manene kiagera no nyakarari nense ya Kenya sitaro ya sense ya Botswana nigaro rengo ikirenke kiagera ba Kenya bangemono nigo ba mwaregani na inde nigo bamenyete asenseyo asatebire bawicha kubwaterana na serikali kwenekia na barabo nkuligereri wabare buna bamenyi ase Chinsa chisiko.
Allow yourself to believe and to hope, because if you see us standing here, we stood against hopeless situation, and everyone was speaking and they were saying it is not possible. But I know with God all things are possible. I know that there is no greater gift than to have a free spirit that can be able to move from motherland and you come to another country, a foreign land, and you stay there united and maintaining your professionalism, being in unity. And that is the greatest gift that you can have, to be together. Because as I look and I see the beautiful faces and the handsome faces and the hope that is in you, the very fact that you want to stay here and to be served here, and you also want to be in our country and support it, it is one of the greatest gifts that a country can ever ask. Let me just read you a verse that will make you feel good. Because the Lord always knows the end from the beginning. And in Jeremiah 29, verse 4 to 7 says, "This is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says to those I carried into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build houses and settle down, plant gardens and eat what they produce. Marry and have sons and daughters. Find wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage."
Chingakia marua tanje iriaga endrete kwene kiwa mono asorongoro Mount Kenya was Central Kenya wano nigo aba bwatani bonsi abanyanyimbo na baigo gose local government gose local administrations korose county ya Murang'a bachira mona kubekemero bili mekirano nanaki bagochia gokonya gosieka emebogani ende gosinyomba cyo kwegokia echo chikonia ekenyuwe kyo getancheiri amona serikali asakolengana na barabogia asalirie abasa bange goikabono nigo batebire bagocha kogendera goitera amarua yo agendete kwengwa tancheiri asensemo ya Murang'a asaba sabire ababwatani bonsi gotiga kwenga ekenyuwe kyo yakolire kegolia kiabono nemyakerebosyo
as far as possible to ensure we close down those outlets that are not worth being there. Because we have realized we have even some bars in the villages, we have some bars even near the residential houses, even some bars near schools. So with the public health laws, we are very, very sure that one is doable and is going to reduce it to a manageable level. Not that we are against those people with the bars. We are very sure the other option that people can be able to involve the other business, but we are against those business that are really impacting negatively to our community. Because, like, if you look at the youth, form the bulk of our population, and if you are not very careful right now, it shows in the future, Murang'a County is going to have a population that is not productive. So we are encouraging our people to consider going to other economic activities that are more worth and that will not impact negatively to her.
Chinga kiecho kurege tindi nigo kiaruru ego chia saba obisa bali bagendrete koina na chi license go chia se nyumba cyo kwegokia abuo ba kwenga amaru na korosia amaru ayo tancheiri ase county iyo ya Murang'a nigo bono kiatebekanire bagocho koimukeri getambo kirege tindi keli chiko ekero bono bagendrete korwa chi license echo egento keirera abasa bange basireire ase ekenyuwekyo
as far as possible to ensure we close down those outlets that are not worth being there. Because we have realized we have even some bars in the villages, we have some bars even near the residential houses, even some bars near schools. So with the public health laws, we are very, very sure that one is doable and is going to reduce.
Engaging in corruption so that they can license this bar, I think appropriate action will be taken, and a very stern one for that matter. If you compare the numbers of bars and the number of schools, you'll be shocked. One, you take a sub-county like Katanga. At the moment, we have 349 bars or alcoholic outlets against 92 schools. Take another example of Kahuro. Kahuro, we have 218 alcoholic outlets against 70 primary schools and 42 secondary schools. So the issue of conflict of interest has been raised, but this is something that we are going to address administratively, and we have said that you either go into that business or work for government. You cannot have the two. We have already commenced and intensified crackdown. Over the weekend, we have arrested many people in connection with dealing with illicit brew, people selling outside the stipulated hours, others selling drugs like bangs, and we are aware even some chemists are also selling some drugs to our youths. And we are on high alert. That is something that we are dealing with, and we will continue to deal with it until we eradicate.
Abantu bali bata bweneratigo se bali bagutumika chinchira cyobokora aso kugora esukali korwa sense ya Buganda nako yareta iga sense ya Kenya konelia bakenya nigo bono bairwege kurege tindi korwa sabarai abwase batianire bawicha ko bayimukirige tambo kirege tindi keli chiko gati yabarai anene korwa sorongoro western abo tayare batebire mbaro bamanyekanete abo bakungainere bune sukali ne yense ya Kenya kurende nigo bayegorete korwa sense ya Buganda nigo bawicha gochaka kolingoliwa oyo masoyomo na kuimukirigwa tambokero kieli chiko kwenda kiayo no mbunge Martin Wanyonyi
Zima to deal na mambo ya wezi ambao wanatoa sugar Uganda, wanatoa sugar Zambia, wanaleta hapa Kenya. Huyu ni mtu rai na ule mtu wa ule mwingine wa Butani. Watu badala ya kununua sukari ya watu wa Kenya, wananunua sukari kutoka nje. That's why lazima tufanye hata uchunguzi. Hii rai pepa ya Webuye hii. Nasikia sukari shugu, sukari mbaya, sukari fake inawekwa hapo, ndio ina change, alafu wanaanza kuuza, wanasema ni sukari ya Butali, wanasema sukari ya Kabarasi. That's why viongozi wako hapa. Hivi viongozi lazima tusimame imara. Tuende bunge na rai asimamishwe kuleta sukari hapa Kenya kutoka kule nje.
Miamano mwanchi muligereria na rayua sabono kulinda mange nekere kuraga Chinsa 14 tuchukumira na SMS yenkumanye aliagende tokoreka asense ya Kenya wego ninchi okobwateri manye nkwana yo maraibwense Dr. William Ruto goro ase kanisa ya Friends Church Donholm ase county ya Nairobi biamona ase wasangana intwe wetera senchira yemitandao Ndizi TV News Digital abonensemo ya Facebook na wego Ndizi TV News asensemo ya YouTube tobwaterana koma kwenekia onsi awikeire asore wetera chibi cha maliogi nabaiga sensemo ye mitandao nigakorwa Joshua Uta twara boligereria borobu ye miegeta seni kya Ndizi TV ncheni gonkoro kwa Sara Nyarangi Ontita.